Hello, everyone. Good morning. Good afternoon. Good evening. How are you? So I must before we that today, I just suddenly felt so tired. And a few minutes ago, I am like closing my eyes like this, and almost getting asleep. So I'm really sleepy. So I don't know how it's going to be, but if I get asleep, so don't worry. So let's go to the Sacrum with our topic for today, which is reproduction. Okay, so let's remember what is the meaning of the word reproduction. So remember all this, the meaning of reproduction. Re, that means pen. Pro, that means towards. Duc, that comes from ducere, meaning take or to guide. Is the same word for education. Education. Ition, which is action. So the meaning of reproduction would mean to the action of taking or guiding something ahead again. That would be the meaning of reproduction. So the word reproduction actually is talking about production. It's not talking about reaction. The word re in front of that word is talking about the repetition of something in a cyclical expression once and again, repeating once over and over again. So we take we can understand what is the concept that is repeating over again. So that is the production. Production, to produce something. So production is telling about the action of producing something which is a product, and that product must be productive, which is the attribute of production. So what is the concept that we are talking about? To produce. Produce is to bring something ahead, to guide that something to follow in the path ahead. Okay, so what are we bringing ahead? Product, of course. And what is the product? The product is moving ahead in order to be productive. And the way in which we make this thing, this product, productive is through the action that we call production. And the verb to do that is to produce. Production. Today, in our current day, we have the concept of production as something related to economy, something related to the production of things. Like, for example, this pen. So I am producing this thing. So in order to get product, I have to follow a process, which is the production, taking the main elements to make this pen until I reach it. So then I have the product, which is and then I use it and I do something productive with it. Okay, so that would be for us the concept of production. So we can also name the production or a person that is productive from within. So the emotional concept of production. So that would be like, for example, a person that is manifesting something that is within. Because remember, produce is to bring something ahead. So actually, when a person is productive, is the person that has within a lot of things that are manifested and brought to the outside, so it is useful in the outer world. So production is to produce is usually related to something that is useful. So it's useful because the things that we produce are related to the manifestation, to the practical things. That's why it's related with the useful things, with the things that we use all the time. So that would be the reason why we relate production with physical aspects, with physical things. So we have been seeing production from the human point of view, but now we have to understand that me as a human, I am also a product that has gone through a process of production in order for it to exist. El proceso de producción de un humano surge en el momento de la concepción, cuando un espermatozoide y un óvulo se unen. Dos células con una carga genética se unen, intercambian información y empiezan a una red celular que crea un humano. Y de allí 9 meses de producción que el producto final nazca. So we can say now that a human is also a product. And how was the process that it took in order to be this product that we are now? Well, the path of production of a human begins when an spermatozoid and an egg, ovulus, got together and they exchange data. And by that exchange, they start to multiply cells and create organisms that developed themselves for 9 months in a long process of production until the product is born. So we can see the concept of produce when the cells, the eggs and the spermatozoids, they get out from a place to go into another. That is producere. Produce is to go from one to the other, ahead, moving forward. And then the cell starts to multiply, this meaning that they bring the information to one another, so they keep bringing data. And there's one day that we are born, which is to go from the uterus away into the outside. So we go out, which is to produce too. So now that we understand we are the product, we have to ask ourselves, what produce what we are? That thing that produce what we are is the DNA exchanging data. So it absorbs energy from the environment in order to multiply the codes of the DNA, creating more cells to replicate that same information. So they start to produce cells. The main cells produce cells. So what actually is happening in a body, produce a body, is that the molecules that compose the DNA, they start to create environments like a cell in order to absorb the information, the energy from the outside, in order to replicate themselves in thousands of cells that will trespass this data once and again in each one of the cells. The thing is that a cell, the information of a cell is a constant production of information. which the concept would be a production information. What this means, that everything that a cell is doing is to try to bring out into the next cell all the data that has within. And the word formation means exactly that, something that is being formed constantly once and again. It's a process, a constant process of taking shape and forms. That's what information means. So the same aspect of transformation of matter is the information, the data taking shape. So that's a constant process, the eternal process. And how does this information go through time and space? Well, what it has to do is to produce itself once and again, which is to bring the data from within and express it into the next one outside, taking all information in the next one, the next one, the next one. So this process of production repeats itself so many times that that's why we call it reproduction. So now, to get this idea of the information, remember that the concept of information is a constant in the universe. The information is something that goes through two constants in the universe, which is time and space. Time and space are the two things that goes through everything because they are constant. We can speak here about the relativity of time and space, of course, but even though they are constants. And what is these two constants doing? Constantly information. They are taking shape in different dimensions and realities. So that's why what we know through this constant is that there is a lot of data, like the mind of the universe, exchanging constant information all the time. And that's why it's information, because it's transforming itself in many forms, many shapes once and again. So because of this, we can understand that the inorganic realities and the organic realities, what they are doing is basically to send information through time and space. They transform themselves through thousands and millions of years, but they are just doing an exchange of information moving forward. Okay? So it's constant. That's eternity. So in our bodies, like the physical bodies, they do exactly the same. So the cells are trying to bring that data into the next cell, so the information goes on, and that's what we call evolution. They are transforming once again, just transpassing data. So actually what we can understand here is that in the microcosmos, in the subatomic realm, the information, the data, is the only thing that exists and that is constant, eternal. So the macrocosmos, the physical things that we see, are just the shapes that data takes and forms in order to find different ways to transpass this energy, this information, in a better way. That's evolution. Basically, that's what evolution is. So this is why we can understand here that the universe is only information, just data, information. And this is why the constant in the universe is to be in formation, in constant formation, let's say. So we can say that one and the first existence in the universe is the one that produces everything that exists around and extend a network of data trying to reach much more information through experience. And that's why it replicates once and again, which is to reproduce. It starts to reproduce. And as you see, I didn't spoke about sex until now. It's just concepts. So I know that some people are like busy, like willing to know what about the kids and the son and to have sex or whatever. Just take a deep breath, because if you don't get this, what I said before, you're not going to get what I'm going to say next. So what I was saying is that the reproduction is the one that explains how every atom, every molecule, every chemical, they just start to replicate their shapes in order to keep sharing that data and that information. So we start to create a universe made up with fractals. Let's remember what is a fractal. So this would be fractalization. One triangle that I put another one in the middle. I replicate the shape. How many triangles do I have now? Tengo 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, y 5. So now I have 5 triangles. One bigger, one in the center, another 3 here. If I keep doing this in the same way, so I will have many other triangles. So if I keep doing that, once and again. So what is happening here with the fractalization is that this same triangle is constantly the same. The triangle never appears. It multiplies itself by thousands and many. So the only one triangle, the only one data and information just starts to replicate once and again. So it has many other points of view. If instead of a triangle, I have spheres, we'll have it exactly the same. So in the same way as a triangle, we can put spheres. So the spheres also start to divide themselves, and they start to create this fractalization that we can call cells. And the cells, by meiosis and mitosis, they start to divide once and again as a fractal, creating new data. So now here, exactly as the triangles means like patterns here. So the pattern starts to replicate themselves and once and again. So they start to replicate once and again. So the same codes that are inside, they will start to replicate. So the data, the information in each one of the cells will be multiplied too. Okay, but it will be new data, because not only has the old one, but also has new perspectives of data. So the thing is that these triangles here, they multiply once and again the same data, and they try to store much more information, much more data. But there is a moment that when you replicate the same data once and again over, what happens is that it kind of the information gets distorted. Like, for example, the letters. We spoke about the letters a few videos ago or months ago, I don't know. We spoke about this, like the origin of the letter A that we have here. The origin was here in Apis. Apis, the name of the bull. So they draw this beautiful bull here, but then they started to change it, and the distortion of the letter to alpha, and then they change it until the Romans did the A, and we have the letter A now. So it's the same sound, the same letter from thousands of years, but it changed a lot. So we don't know exactly what happened here, why exists the letter A. So the same thing happened in a body. The cell starts to reproduce the same information once again, and they start to get distorted. And when they start to get distorted, the cells starts to die. They said, I cannot hold this anymore because I have no idea what I'm doing. Okay, it loses the meaning. So that's why what that being has to do is two things. Or whether it divides itself to create a new one that can regenerate new things, or it can get to with another one to create a third one that could make much more better information. So if they cut one part of itself to create a new one, is what we call asexual way of reproduction. Or if you get together with another one to create a third one, that's what we call sexual reproduction. Remember, what is sex in order to understand asexual? Sex comes from the word secto. Secto means divided, to section, to sectorize something. Sectorize something, to divide something, is to say this is good, this is bad, this is big, this is small, feminine, masculine, man, woman, to sectorize the things, to divide the things. So eventually in the language, they started to divide people through the genitalia. So they divided by masculine genitals and feminine genitals, and that was called the sex, the sex of a person. That's the origin of the word. So asexual would be, for example, to say someone that is not asexual is someone that doesn't get the idea of separation of feminine and masculine, so it doesn't see the vision of it, so it also doesn't get the idea of sexual organs because it's not divided. So which beings are asexual? Well, for example, the plants, bacteria, virus, cells, how do you say, sea stars, the stars from the sea, that would be. So okay, so that would be the beings that reproduce by themselves without the need of genitals. Starfish, thank you, starfish. The starfish also is asexual. So who are the sexual? The ones that use the feminine and the masculine, that use the genitalia in order to produce another being. Just, I will give you some advice. I'm not speaking here about ethics or morality. I'm speaking only about biology here, the system. So what does the reproduction that takes this triangle from this one and put it in that one? So what the reproduction does, that takes this triangle, the blue triangle, from here to active here, and this triangle from here to activate it here. This means that the data from this one, the data from that one, create a new one. And that would mean that this one here has a very much improved data than the other one. So this means that in evolution, the sexual reproduction helped biology, helped information to improve the system faster and better, incorporating much more data than before. So basically, this is why if you see bacteria, virus, they evolve, but they have the same shape constantly. They have been thousands and billions of years kind of the same. And the plants also, they take millions of years and they kind of seem to one another still. But once they reproduce with sex, they change constantly. They transform themselves, like reptilians, birds, mammals. We change constantly, faster, much more data. What do we have here? That suddenly they start to multiply and try to exchange much more data, and as faster they get, faster and faster and faster they reproduce with different prototypes, the better the information it is. So they start to get much more data, much more information once and again. So it reaches the moment in the mammals and the birds that we start to share emotions, the data through emotions, taking care of the one, loving the other one, in service of the other ones. And from there comes the hominids creating cultures to exchange data. And then we improved as humans within the hominids, we improved exchanging data through civilization, language, arts, philosophy, religion. So eventually humans starts to discover a way to exchange data also through technology, through science, through meditation. Eventually, through the human evolution, we reach a point in which there is no specific need of having a sexual reproduction in order to share data and to move forward. There's no need to create a third being, a baby, in order to keep sharing the information. As the humans, with the culture, linguistics, technology, we start to discover different ways to exchange that data by creating projects, creating arts, doing something that we love, sharing with friends, being a teacher, doing something that shares with others, that is productive for others, so your own information keeps going on. This is why some of us maybe need to have kids, some others don't need to have kids. But we all, even though as a human, have the opportunity to reproduce. So, and each one of you will discover which is your own way of reproduction. Maybe writing a book, doing a play, sharing with others. I know that from this, we have many questions and we can speak about so many branches and so many things that it would be too much. But I guess that with this, I wanted to give you the basis of the data so you can kind of have the fundaments of this. And eventually, someday, when we start to do some questions and answers, maybe more in the future, related to the videos that I did this year, I maybe can answer some of the questions. I hope to do that. And of course, I invite you to try to answer your own questions with this statement. Let's go to the information for today. The verb for today is who. The statement for today is, I am the designer of creation. I become aware of the environment that surrounds me, the body that I inhabit, and my own breathings. And I observe under my feet the light consciousness of my body in the shape of a divine spark. I breathe and ignite this spark. I ascend this divine spark to my feet. Initiate my initiatic path through the two legs in my feet, starting the blue and white rivers through the legs. And I set the intention to expand and reproduce all the data that is within me to multiply my paths. I ignite my feet. Drive this divine spark to my knees. I recognize these two rivers as one, the feminine and the masculine path in my knees. And I set the intention to reproduce all those things that are within me towards the future. I breathe and ignite my knees. I ascend this spark to my root chakra. And I recognize the lake of the vital energy. I set the intention to reproduce my will in order to manifest in the world, to make my projects a reality. Recognize and ignite my root. I ascend this divine spark to the Sacrum. I recognize the creative power within me, from the darkness and the lights. The will of creation, and I set the intention to reproduce to the world my creative potential. I breathe and ignite the Sacrum. I ascend to my plexus. I recognize within my plexus the temples of my body and the attribute I am. And I set the intention to reproduce these attributes to all my relationships in the world. I breathe and ignite the plexus. I rise up the vibration, the spark to my heart. I recognize within me the temple of life and love irradiating to the world. And I set the intention to reproduce all these feelings, this service, in the shape, in the way of service by love to the entire world. I breathe and ignite my heart. I rise up through the flow of the night within me towards the throat chakra. And in it, I recognize the temple of the sun, radiating its rays of light, of truth to all the world. I set the intention to produce truth in the world. I breathe and ignite the throat chakra. I rise this spark to the third eye. And I observe the eyes of the Sphinx contemplating me. And I set the intention to reproduce my consciousness in the entire world. I ignite my third eye. I rise up this spark to my crown. And I observe this night expanding in a full delta in my crown, surrounded by all the pyramids. I can see pyramids creating my crown. And I set the intention to reproduce my divinity in the world. I breathe and ignite the crown. Throughout this initiatic path, I can see how I reproduce in every step all the parts that creates me. So I recognize myself as a designer of the vision that I am. I am the designer of creation. I am the designer of creation. I am the designer of creation. I am. I am. I am. Breathe and start to bring this consciousness all around the body, stretching, massaging, and each time, come back here and now. Thank you, everybody, for being here another day, and see you tomorrow at the same time.